I'm not gonna lie, I fucked up. It happened during one of my hiking trips last week. I was making the trip back when something caught my eye. Going through a clearing, I came across what looked to be a large hole in the ground. At first, I thought I had stumbled across a sinkhole. Upon further inspection, I noticed that it was several inches above the ground. This didn't shock me right away. I just assumed it was some kind of optical illusion. That is, until I decided to poke at it with my hiking stick. My mouth fell open when it didn't hit the dirt like I thought it would. Instead, it disappeared deep into the hole. I was dumbfounded and had to make sure I wasn't going crazy. I got on my hands and knees, and this time, poked at it again from underneath. I figured if it was an illusion, I'd see the stick come out the other side. Just like before, it vanished into the hole. I got back up and stared at it, bewildered. To be perfectly honest, I was at a loss of what to do. I thought about calling someone, but who the hell do you call about something like this? A physicist maybe? They'd be the most qualified. Unfortunately, I didn't have Neil deGrasse Tyson on speed dial. I came to the decision that the next best thing would be for me to take a picture of it, but I didn't get the chance due to what happened next. The contents of the now 3 empty water bottles I carried was coming back with a vengeance. I knew I shouldn't have done what I did, but it was an emergency. I'm sure you can all relate. It had to happen right then and there. I made sure no one else was around and unbuttoned my shorts. The relief I felt was overwhelming. Once finished, I proceeded to remove my pack to retrieve my phone. That's when I heard it, a low growl that grew into a demonic roar. I quickly backed away. My blood ran cold as 10 massive spider-like legs shot up through the hole and dug into the soil. Had I not just finished relieving myself, I would have pissed my pants at the very sight of it. Now I know under fear, some people will freeze up. Luckily for me, this didn't happen. My body instinctively knew what to do. Whatever was coming out of the hole was not of this world. My mind knew I couldn't cope seeing it in its entirety. It was either fight or flight. I chose the latter. Without even realizing it, I was running faster than I thought humanly possible. That's when I picked up on the strong scent of urine. Then it dawned on me. I couldn't believe it. This was why it was after me. Of all the things that could get someone killed, it was going to be this. Well, statistically, there has to be at least one guy who got killed because he had one too many, then decided to relieve himself on another man's shoes. The difference being, said person didn't do this on a creature never meant to be seen by human eyes. For how large it must have been, it was surprisingly nimble. Only the sound of a few rustling leaves let me know it was still in pursuit, skittering after me. The beast let out another mighty roar. The sound that escaped it was robotic, mechanical, as if the blades of a rusty lawnmower scraped against dry metal. I was debating on whether or not to remove my pack. I know this appears to be a no-brainer. However, you have to understand that several straps fasten the pack to my waist. In the time it would take to undo them all, then slip off the straps, that thing could have caught up to me. Ultimately, I made the right choice when I reached a hill up ahead. The weight of the pack helped accelerate me down it. As I pondered exactly how big the creature was and how I could possibly escape it, a bear walked right onto the path in front of me. It goes without saying, this wasn't as dangerous as the creature I was being chased by, though I wasn't exactly thrilled about the idea of running into it. To make matters worse, 3 more bears appeared, 2 of them cubs. I began panicking about what to do. I had a gun on me for this very reason, but by no means was I a marksman. 1 bear was a handful, but 4 was a different story altogether. Sure, I could try to fan out the shots, but I didn't think I'd be able to hit them where it counted. With animals this big, you need to be precise, or else the little damage you inflict may end up only enraging them further. I decided to fire a warning shot over their heads in hopes of scaring them off. But before I could, something flew right past me. I cursed and instinctively ducked. Whatever it was just barely missed me, but hit a much bigger mark. The bear staggered back, rearing up on hind legs, roaring in pain. As I looked closer, I could see what had hit them. Embedded in their bodies appeared to be what I can only describe as quills. They were thick and flesh-colored. It's a wonder I didn't throw up from what happened next. The bear's fur began dissolving, which gave way to burnt flesh, then muscle that fell off in chunks, leaving nothing but exposed bone. Their cries of pain and anguish unnerved me more than their roars ever could. And the smell. It made the stench of rotten eggs smell more like a bouquet of roses by comparison. I gagged and held my breath as I ran through it. I again heard the familiar, high-pitched whistle of the monster's quills as they zipped through the air and struck my pack. Lady Luck was with me on this day. That's when I became keenly aware that I didn't hear my pack dissolving, nor did I smell anything burning. That must only happen when the quills come into contact with something living like flesh, I thought. With my heart pounding out of my chest and legs like molten lead, I was quickly running out of stamina. I thought about hiding amongst the trees. However, I doubted it would take long for it to find me. Looking left and right and not paying attention to what was in front of me, I tripped over a large rock that sent me tumbling down a long hill, letting out a string of profanities as I did. Eventually, I came to a stop in a shallow pond. I heard the monster skitter up to me as I lay there, helpless to move. It bent over me, and there we were, predator and prey. Luckily, my vision had gone blurry due to me hitting my head and the muddy water in my eyes. From what I could tell, it seemed to have a long neck and armored skin. It poked and prodded me for a little while, presumably trying to figure out if I was alive or not. It leaned in closer now, glaring at me, when another sound caught its attention. Another creature similar to it had shown up. This new one, which was a little taller and its skin lighter than the other, skittered towards me. When it got close enough, it made a motion which I discerned as conveying disgust and backed away. It then chatted with the first monster in their alien language. The first one shook its head and pointed to me. The other nodded in understanding. Then the first one started rearing back to strike at me. My stomach dropped. I got lucky though. The other one stopped it and pointed in the direction of the hole. It made some clicking noises in response, to which the other monster shook its head at. It let out a sound that I interpreted as a sigh, and then menacingly pointed back at me. Despite my blurry vision, I could sense the pure rage in its eyes, of which it had many. It turned around and left with the other. About 10 minutes later, my vision cleared and I shakily got to my feet. I wasted no time in getting back to my car. As I was driving home, I remembered my plan of wanting to take pictures of the hole. But as I reached into the pack for my phone, I realized one of the quills had shattered it beyond repair. Well, at least I still have the quills as mementos of sorts. I'd show them to someone at school, but none had reopened yet. I did go back to that area yesterday. I don't want to give the wrong impression. I'm not an idiot in a horror movie. I didn't go back to where the hole was. All I planned on doing was driving by the entrance and seeing if I could spot anything amiss. However, as I drove by, I could see patrol cars and crime scene tape blocking the area. I pulled up next to a couple of officers and inquired about why the entrance was blocked off. The explanation they gave was there was a sinkhole. I'm sure you figured out that I didn't buy that. Still, I wasn't willing to pry any further. I proceeded to drive down the road and head back home. As I did, I thought I saw glimpses of black SUVs through the trees. I'm guessing someone else must have stumbled across the hole and reported it. Whatever it was deemed important enough to get the higher-ups to come out and inspect the area. That means the hole may still be there. I'm not going back there anytime soon, or ever for that matter. I just hope they close it off instead of doing something stupid to enrage the creatures on the other side of it, like I did. You know, sticking my nose and hiking stick where they didn't belong. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.